Good morning, everybody. This is Rudy coming at you live from Palm Beach in Florida. It is Mr. Oxy time again. It is Saturday. It is October the 16th. I hope you guys are going to have a great weekend. I hope you get to take a little bit of time off, spend some good time with the family, and just enjoy and relax a little bit after what was probably a hard week, not only in terms of work, but also in terms of everyday stresses and things like that. Let's take a quick look at Oxy and see what's going on here. So a couple of people commented and said like, hey, Mr. Oxy, what's going on? Crude is going up. So I'm here on Yahoo Finance. You can see right at the top of the page here, crude oil. In this case, that means WTI or West Texas Intermediate, $82.66. Wow, we've come a long way. You know, just what are we now in October a year ago? Crude was kind of hovering around the sort of $50 mark, and we were kind of hoping that we would be over $50 for most of the quarter, you know, the previous year. And look where we are today, $82.66. But the interesting sort of sidebar to this is crude has been going up almost every single day. And Oxy, since hitting a high on Monday, which was $34.54 or something like that, pulled back all the way to $31.66. I think Oxy lost almost 6% this past week, despite that quick spike on Monday. Have no fear. These things happen. The market is volatile. Over the past month, well, there's that high that I talked about just a minute, 34.48. I thought it was about 34.50, but anyway, there or thereabouts. And obviously it pulled back after hours on Friday. It ticked up just a little. It'll be interesting to see what happens this coming week. Of course, to be fair, the preceding week, so last week, was really the start of the third quarter earnings results, and of course, the banks were leading us off in that regard. And so, if you were invested in financial stocks, you probably had a reasonably good week. I had an interesting week. You know, it was very, very fascinating for me, just from a personal point of view, because Oxy spiked on Monday, and it was like really cool, you know, to see Oxy go over $34 a share. And then on Wednesday, my uranium stocks just went off the charts. I have 5 relatively small cap uranium stocks, with the exception of Cameco, which is sort of more a small to mid-size company with a market cap in the 20 billion range. But my uranium stocks on Wednesday all went up over 10%, and some of them, a couple of them, in fact, went up almost 20% in one day, only to pull back sharply again on Thursday and Friday as the bank stocks started reporting. I guess there was just a different focus at that particular point in time. But let's look at some of the news related to Oxy. So, of course, the big news was Occidental Petroleum sold 2 Ghana offshore fields for $750 million. Let me just go back to this Yahoo page just for a second. I just want to show you another headline over here. Occidental Low Carbon Ventures joint venture gets a $50 million tax incentive for Permian CO2 project. The $50 million is not material. And the reason why I say it's not material is because Occidental is a company that produces more than 1 million barrels of oil per day, with a price of around $80 per barrel. You can do your own math on that. So when you get a tax incentive for $50 million, it's not really a lot of money. What is good news about it, though, is that in order to get a tax incentive, that means that the government, who owns all the money and arguably owns you and me too, the way things are going, have taken note of Occidental. And if they get a tax incentive for Occidental Low Carbon Ventures, that is a good thing. Oxy sold 2 Ghana offshore oil fields for $750 million. Now, this is interesting news. It's difficult at this moment in time to say whether it's good news or bad news. I had a little conversation with Dr. Yeti Zhang on our community channel, and we were chatting about this particular sale. And I said at the time, because I hadn't looked yet, I said, I hope we're not going to see a large impairment charge, which will pull back the EPS for the quarter. But then I looked a little later, and that is actually not the case. We'll get into that one in just a second. Energy company Occidental Petroleum signed agreements to sell its assets in 2 offshore fields in Ghana for $750 million. Under the first deal, assets were sold to the Ghana National Petroleum Company for $200 million, and the other deal reflects the sale of assets to Texas-based oil and gas firm Kosmos Energy for $550 million. Sale includes Occidental's interest in the 10 and Jubilee fields, which together produce 22,000 barrels of oil equivalent per day. So once again, not really material, 22,000 barrels of oil per day, but a nice disposition anyway at the price. And so here's the sort of follow-up from that. CEO Vicky Hollop said, with this transaction, we have achieved our post-Colombia divestiture target. Proceeds from the Ghana asset sale will be applied to debt reduction. So it's another $750 million being applied to Occidental's debt. Combined, our divestiture program and free cash flow generation have enhanced our ability to reduce debt, as evidenced by the $4.5 billion we have repaid year to date. It will be really interesting to see what the company's balance sheet looks like at the end of the third quarter, or for the end of the third quarter. The company shares lost 2.2% on Wednesday to close at $32.38. It's always interesting to me when you get news like this. You know, you could say it's debatable whether it's good news or bad news, but the fact of the matter is, I don't think Occidental deserved to lose 2.2% on Wednesday and close at $32.38. Based on this news, if anything, I would have expected it to go up, maybe a couple of ticks, maybe even 1% positive as opposed to 2.2% negative, but who knows, huh? Morgan Stanley's Devin McDermott maintained a buy rating on the stock with a target of $47 per share. Analysts expect the company to report a loss of 10 cents per share in the fourth quarter. We'll see what the third quarter holds before we start speculating on the fourth quarter. Overall, Oxy has a moderate buy consensus rating on 8 buys, 3 holds, and 1 sell. I don't remember who the analyst is who says sell, but it's quite a brave contrarian opinion to have in this particular market segment that we're in right now, especially with WTI at $82 a barrel. The average target is $36.58, which applies a 13% upside, and shares have gained nearly 200% over the past year. For all of you who have been with me for a while, I hope you are making tons of money. Occidental Petroleum announces Ghana asset sale. What investors need to know. This is from Bazinga, but it's quoting a variety of different sources. Let's just go down here a little bit. I talked about the deal itself, why it's important. On Thursday, Bank of America analyst Doug Leggett said that the price of the deal is better than the $600 million in value for the Ghana assets Occidental has been carrying on its balance sheet. Now, that's the point I was making when I said I mentioned to Dr. Yeri Zhang that I hope we're not going to see an impairment charge. Well, the opposite is actually true, because the deal value as it relates to the balance sheet was $600 million and they sold it for $750. The Ghana assets has actually been for sale as discontinued operations since Occidental acquired Anadarko in 2019. In that sense, Leggett says the divestment will have no impact on Occidental's cash flow or capital expenditures. Let me just say at this moment in time, I expect, and this is just my personal prediction, which you should not take to the bank. In fact, you should discount or ignore everything I tell you, because otherwise you might just lose all your money. But here's my prediction for Occidental for Q3. I think we're going to see revenue of approximately $7 billion. We're going to see earnings per share of about 60, maybe 63, 64 cents per share. And at least 60 cents per share. And we're going to see free cash flow, which is a little bit tricky to predict with all the stuff going on, but certainly over $2 billion in free cash flow for the quarter. Whatever it is going to blow away the previous quarter, which was a record, beating the last free cash flow that it was higher than that from about 10 years ago. Proceeds from the asset of the sale will be allocated to debt reduction. Leggett estimates Occidental had more than $2 billion in cash on hand at the end of the third quarter. That's his estimate, and will generate $2.3 billion in free cash flow for the fourth quarter. So he's saying 2.3. I say we cross over the $2 billion mark easily in free cash flow. As a result, he said on Thursday that Occidental is well positioned to pay down another $4 billion in debt in the fourth quarter, after it had paid down $4.3 billion in the third quarter. He estimates that the capital structure will shift from 38% equity at the end of 2020 to nearly 60% equity by the end of 2022. That is a massive swing in terms of where we are right now. So Bank of America, or Doug, has a buy rating on Oxy and a $50 price target on Oxy stock. So guys, that's the news. That's specifically as it relates to Ghana, with a little prediction from Mr. Oxy. So you can make a note if you want, and then you can remind me how wrong I was after they announced their third quarter results. So revenue, 7 billion, earnings per share, at least 60 cents, free cash flow, more than 2 billion. Doug says 2.3. I'll go one up, 2.4, 2.5 billion in free cash flow for the quarter. That's where we're at. Thanks for watching. This is Mr. Oxy saying goodbye for now. Talk to you soon. Bye.